Hello everybody, this is Aubrey from Twisted Trinkets. So I recently made this little pendant, right? And I posted it into like the Facebook groups that I'm in and all that. And like I've noticed that a lot of crafters ask questions about how they should price the things that they make to sell on Etsy or at like different shows and stuff like that. So I wanted to show you how I go about pricing my personal crafts that I post on Etsy. And then I'm also going to show you how to check whether or not you're making money at the price that you're putting them at. Okay? So let's get started. I am in Google Sheets right now, and I've set up this little sheet, right, showing like the materials, how much I want to pay myself. Oh, I guess I should use my mouse. Okay, so the materials, how much I should pay myself, and then my profit margin. Okay, and I'll go through this step by step, but using those three things, I should get a potential listing price here, right? And that's what I'll want to put on my Etsy page. Now, that's not where my costs stop, right? Once I make my item, or in this case, my pendant, right, I have other expenses coming in the future that are going to play into whether or not I'm going to make money on this piece. So that's what I've put down here in my selling and shipping. Okay, and we'll go through all of these one by one. Okay, so to get the cost of a specific item, right, you have your materials and your labor. Okay, so I'm just going to go through these one by one, and I'm going to calculate out how much each individual piece cost me for this one single pendant, okay? So the first thing I have, as you can see, is my cabochon. All right, so I bought my cabochon on Amazon. Okay, here they are. And I'll post links to all of these in the description below if you're interested, okay? There's my self-pitch right there. All right, so I have these resin gemstones that I used in this particular pendant, okay? And as you can see on Amazon, they were $15.98, and there are 200 of them in a package. Yes, buying in bulk helps. So back in my sheet here, I'm going to I bought them for $15.98, and there are 200 in a package. So the price that I bought them at divided by how many are in the package will give me a price per individual cabochon, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter. So my cabochons cost me 8 cents a piece, okay? So now I have wire that I've used. All right, and I used 20 gauge wire and 28 gauge wire in this particular pendant. All right, now it's important to know how much wire you use, even if you're just measuring how much you cut initially to make the pendant in the first place, okay? So in my how-to video on YouTube, right, for this very simple pendant, I explained that I had 3 5-inch pieces of 20 gauge wire that I used. Okay, so just simple math, I used 15 inches of 20 gauge wire, right? So when I go to my Amazon, and that's my 28 gauge. Okay, so I look at my 20 gauge wire, okay, and it was $13.99, okay, but this is in yards, all right? Where the heck is it? Okay. Oh, here it is, 82 feet. All right, so there's 82 feet of copper wire on this spiral, and I used 15 inches, right? So here's my formula, okay? I'm going to take what I used divided by what was there, but I'm going to convert it to inches, and then that should give me a fraction showing how much of this price I need to calculate into my cost of my item, okay? So we have 82 feet, it's $13.99. I used 15 inches, okay? So I'm going to say we're going to do what I spent, $13.99, okay? And we're going to multiply that by, and I'm going to use parentheses here, okay? So multiply that by, I'm going to use 2. I used 15 inches, right? So there's my 1. And then I'm going to divide that by, and here's my 2. Okay, I'm going to divide that by, and I need to convert my feet to inches for my wire. Okay, so again, it was, oh my gosh, 82 feet. And there are 12 inches in a foot, right? So 82 feet by 12 inches will convert that into inches for me. So going over this again, I used 15 inches out of, there's my divide sign, out of however many inches is in that spool, okay? And that whole thing is going to give me my fraction of the $13.99 that I spent on that wire. All right, so here we go. I'm going to hit enter. I used 21 cents worth of wire, 20 gauge wire. Okay, so now I have my 28 gauge wire, and we're going to do the same thing. All right, so in my video on how I did this, right, I used one 5-inch piece of 28 gauge wire at the beginning, and then I used one 8-inch piece of the 28 gauge wire from my bail. All right, so together, I used 13 inches. All right, so we're going to do the same thing, okay? So my 28 gauge wire, I paid $10.49 for this wire, right? And in this wire, we have 85 yards, okay? So now I need to take yards to feet to inches, which is fun, let me tell you. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing, okay? So I'm going to take my $10.49 that I spent. Oops, I need an equal sign. Equals $10.49 that I spent, right? And I'm going to multiply that by what I used, which was my 13 inches of wire out of, okay, and then I have to convert the frickin', oh my gosh, the frickin' 85 yards to inches, okay? So 85 yards is 3 feet, which has 12 inches in a foot, right? So there's my conversion of this nonsense into inches. Okay, so I paid $10.49, right? And then I have 85 yards, which I have to convert into inches here for this entire spool of wire that I bought. And then I only used 13 inches, okay? So when I hit my enter button, I used 4 cents worth of my weaving wire, okay? So now, when I sell this piece, I always put my pendants on a black necklace cord, all right? So I have those here, and this one is much, much nicer, right? So they are unavailable right now. So I'm going to have to go in and find what I paid, which I don't want to do. Okay, hang on. Just a second. I don't want y'all to see what I'm buying on Amazon, so I'm looking at it on my phone to see, like, what I actually paid when I bought them a million years ago, back in March. Doobie doobie doo. Okay, I found the order. All right, so when I bought these necklace cords, doobie doobie doo, I bought them for $11.99 for 100 pieces. Okay, so sorry about that not being there, but they were $11.99. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to say I paid $11.99 for 100 pieces, so I need to find out how much they are for each. So equals $11.99 for 100 pieces. Okay, so that's my 12 cents, right? So my total materials, looking down here at the sum, is 46 cents. All right, so now I want to pay myself. Like, I'm a business owner, right? So I want to pay myself $25 an hour to make jewelry. And that's a pretty standard wage for jewelry makers. But you know what? If you're worth more than that, set your wage higher. You know, if you're just starting out, set it lower. If you just want to make a good amount of money, whatever. Okay, there's my lecture. All right, so $25 an hour is what I want to pay myself, right? My whole YouTube video on this was 23 minutes, and I have an intro and an ending, so I'm going to say I spent 20 minutes on this pendant. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, right? Except instead of dollars, I'm using minutes. So I want to pay myself $25 an hour, right? And I used 20 minutes out of 60 minutes in an hour. Dollars per hour. Yeah, you get it. Okay. So, oh my gosh. I used too many parentheses, friends. Okay. So I'm going to pay myself $8.33 for this item, right? So now this is what I spent on materials. This is for my personal time in making this pendant, but there are going to be other expenses in the future. I need to worry about buying more tools. I need to worry about listing fees. I need to worry about shipping. I need to worry about like packaging. You know, if I want to go to an expo in the future, I need to be able to pay for that. So I need to have a profit margin, all right? And I use a 40% profit margin on this. Okay, so what I've done here is that I've added up my materials and my labor, okay? And then my formula is to times that by 1.4 to show my 40% profit margin. So I don't know. There we go. Okay, so the sum of my materials, and then the F11 here is my labor, and then I want to make a 40% profit margin, right? So my potential listing price is $12.31, okay? And so economics states that if you round something to the 99-cent point, people are more likely to buy it, just so you know. So potentially, I'm going to list this on Etsy for $12.31, right? But I want to make sure that I'm going to make money, okay? So that's where my next tabs up here come in. So my first thing is that when I list this to sell it, Etsy is going to charge me 20 cents. And then each time I sell one, they relist the item. So it's 20 cents each time you sell one, right? So it's 20 cents per item, not 20 cents per listing. Okay. So there's my listing fees. I have the Etsy website pulled up. So 20 cents for each item that you list on Etsy. And then it says, okay. If you list multiple quantities of the same item, the initial listing fee will be 20 cents, and the listing will be automatically renewed at 20 cents after each of the items sells. So every quantity, 20 cents. Okay? So I've put that in here as my Etsy listing fees, 20 cents. Okay, continuing to read this, there are transaction fees for Etsy. Okay, so as you go through, you are going to be charged a transaction fee of 5% of the price you display for each listing plus the amount you charge for shipping and gift wrapping. All right. So I have decided that potentially I'm going to be listing my item at $12.31. All right, so if I take 5% of that, I'm going to pop this open so you can see my formula here. So I'm taking 5% of my potential listing fee, and I've found that I'm going to end up paying Etsy 62 cents when my item sells, right? So let's say I sell my item, and now I'm ready to ship it, okay? I put a necklace card around the cords of my necklaces. I put those items into a 4x5 zip baggie to protect them and keep them together and to keep them from tangling in my inventory at home, right? Keeps them nice and clean and safe and untangled. All right. When I ship that item, I have to put that thing in a bubble mailer. I have to slap a mailing label on it, and then I have to pay for the shipping itself, right? So up here on my Amazon, I have my necklace cards. Okay, this is what I buy, right? And these ones here are what I use for my necklaces. Okay, so I have 800 pieces at $14.99. I'm going to do that same thing, right? Where I have equals $14.99 and then 800 pieces. Okay, so my necklace card cost me 2 cents. Okay, the next thing that I do is that I put it in a Ziploc baggie to keep it safe and untangled and clean. All right, so these are my Ziploc baggies that I use. They're 4x5 Ziploc baggies. Okay, and I spend $12.99 for 1,000 of them. Same kind of formula. So equals $12.99 by 1,000. Okay, they're a penny. Great. Right, $12.99 per 1,000? Yep, okay. So once I do that and I sell my item, I have to put it in a bubble mailer so that I can mail it off. Okay, so that's my next tab here. These are the bubble mailers that I get, right? And I have a pack of 25 here for $6.95. So I'm going to take my $6.95 and then times it by, divide it by 25. Right? So each of my bubble mailers cost me 28 cents. Okay. The other thing that I have to make it pretty is a mailing label. And these are the ones that I buy for that, and they just go through a regular printer, right? So I was not fortunate enough to get the sale price when I bought them, so I paid $10.95, and then there are 200 labels. I'm only going to use one label for each, not a whole page, right? So $10.95 by 200 labels. $10.95 by 200 labels. I forgot to put an equal sign in there again. I'm doing great. Okay, so each of my mailing labels cost me 5 cents, right? And then I like to offer free shipping on my listings, but Etsy is awesome enough that when I list this, I am going to it shows me at the bottom that it's going to be $3.22. Okay, so my shipping is $3.22. Okay, so now I have over here, this is going to show me whether I'm going to make money or lose money if I list this at this price, right? So my selling price potentially was $12.31. Okay, my materials cost me 46 cents. I paid myself $8.33 for my $25 an hour. Okay, and then after I sold it, my selling and shipping fees are $4.40. All right, now this shows me that if I take my selling price and I subtract out all of my costs, then I am actually going to lose 88 cents on this pendant. All right, and I don't want to lose money. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change my profit margin. Okay, and I'm going to change it to 50% profit, which means that I need to change my formula. So 1.5. Okay, even at a 50% profit margin, I'm still losing 5 cents. Okay, so the other thing that we can do is just kind of, so we can keep going, right? If we want to make a 60% profit. And we times it by 1.6. right? Okay, so now I'm starting to get a positive profit number, okay? So from this, I'm going to make 79 cents on this listing if I list it at $14.07, okay? And that's at a 60% profit margin, which again was my materials and my labor. And then you times that by 1.6 to get your 60% profit margin, right? So, I definitely want to list this at a higher price point then, you know, and I want to make more money, right? So each time I sell one of these pendants, I'm making less than $1, and that doesn't fly with me. So I'm actually going to round this up, okay? And I'm going to make it $14.99 because economics, we talked about that just a second ago. So I'm going to, this is linked to my revenue price right here, but I'm just going to change it, right? So that I have my $14.99. Okay. So now I'm making an amount of money that I'm comfortable with, right? I'm going to make $1.71 per pendant. And on top of that, like that's just to grow my business, right? That is taking into account the fact that I am going to pay myself $8.33 for my time and my skill and my labor. Okay, it's important that artists do this, you know, and a lot of people really don't understand, and I'm going to get off my soapbox now. Okay, so when I go to list my thing, you'll notice that my price was $14.99, and I had taken it out to see, it worked out. Okay, so when I'm in my Etsy store, I'm going to go ahead and post this up here at $14.99 per item with free shipping for my customers to give a benefit to them. It's going to come like well packaged, you know, and it's going to be a beautiful pendant for them. And I'm going to make my money. Okay, I know that was a lot of words, right? I got long-winded sometimes. Okay, so to recap, right? You want to figure out how much your materials cost you and how much you're going to pay yourself. And that is going to give you how much your pendant costs at a basic level. All right. And then you want to figure out a profit margin that's going to cover the rest of your costs. That includes like getting new tools, going to expos. If you're going to offer free shipping, it's going to cover that, you know, just packaging, you know, business cards, any like home office expenses, you know, anything like that, right? And so at a 60% profit margin, you know, this is what I've decided my potential listing price is going to be. Okay. And then I just want to make sure that I am going to make money. So I've found what my item cost me, right? Now I have to figure out what else there is selling and shipping. Because after I make my piece, my job's not done. Okay, so I have my Etsy listing fees, my selling fees. I have all of my packaging and mailing and shipping here. And that will get me from my house to my customer's door. Okay, so now I have my potential selling price, which I upped to $14.99 for economics sake, of course. I have what my materials cost me. I have what my labor cost me. I have what else I'm going to have to pay in order to get my product to my customer. And I'm going to make $1.71 in order to grow my business. Okay? I don't really know what else to say or how to end this. So that's it.